As we know, all organisms are made of cells. You're filled with different varieties of cells from your brain to your bones to your skin. They can be seen in great detail under a microscope, and mechanisms inside them are under the control of a set of directions made out of sugar, phosphate, and nitrogen. This is DNA. We clearly consider ourselves to be alive just like we do the same for a tree or a pet dog. But we're all run by these cells that are created and operated by a molecular code. So how do you get life from those three inanimate objects? Cells have life and death cycles just like the multicellular organisms they create. Let's take a few minutes to speculate on that idea and expand it. All your organs and bones and blood are made of different types of cells, but they communicate with each other and work as a system to keep your brain functioning and your organs functioning, and in turn, keeping you alive. This is all done unconsciously and is working 24/7. Let's imagine we study the Earth like we'd study the functions of a lab rat. When you imagine the planet as a small organism, you can start to make some comparisons. Think of all the life in the ocean and the nourishment it brings to other life on Earth. Ocean's currents are incredibly important to sustaining life in the ocean, and they're powered by inanimate systems like gravity and the sun. Inanimate systems, just like the cells in your heart. These currents are always moving around the world, endlessly spreading nourishment across the planet, just like the nourishment pumped throughout your body in the form of blood. Plants and algae are the respiratory system. Plants and algae convert carbon dioxide to oxygen. We can compare this to systems in your cell that make proteins like
ribosome.
oxygen helps other organisms function on Earth, just like the proteins made by
Ribosome
help support functions inside your body. The atmosphere is the skin. Now the atmosphere may not need nourishment in the same way that animals need nourishment, but it does need to be sustained and was created by functions taking place on the surface. One of the functions that may have originally created the atmosphere was the chaotic volcano explosions happening all across the planet a billion years ago. The carbon dioxide spewed into the sky along with other gases like hydrogen sulfide and methane. Over time, with the help of an algae-filled ocean 650 million years ago, the atmosphere was becoming closer to what we see today. This nourishment and fragile balance of gases sustains our atmosphere to protect the surface from solar radiation and meteorites, like our skin protects our insides from outside damage. The systems inside our body and the systems on the planet are both run by unconscious and inanimate forces. If any of these systems on Earth were to fail, it would mean death for all life on the planet. If your heart stopped pumping, the cells in your body would die along with it. With just these three example comparisons, you could go on more and more and see how it's possible to come to the conclusion that the Earth is a living organism as well. Now let's try and zoom out even more. Let's use the same way of thinking but on our solar system. The sun makes energy which is used on Earth to support life and may be used for life in other places of the solar system that we don't know of just yet. It also holds the planets in an ever-changing orbit which affects systems like weather on each one differently. And it's not just the sun. Jupiter's strong gravitational pull on the asteroid belt protects other planets from stray asteroids that would otherwise cross orbit and could collide with them. The timeline is longer than we can truly comprehend, but it's still there, and it's still a system that is always changing. The sun didn't just pop into existence, and the planets didn't either. Gases left over from the Big Bang and explosions of long dead stars had to form into what we know today as the sun. The same happened with the planets. Elements had to come together to form the solids and gases that make up our solar system's planets and moons. Think of when a sperm and an egg come together to form the first fertilized cell that will someday be an adult. Now this adult could someday make a new adult in the same system. A star can explode and a new star can form with the help of its dispersed matter. This is essentially the same process, but with an incredibly different scope. If we move out from our solar system to other solar systems, we will see the same thing happening there as well. The same thing happens all across the Milky Way galaxy and every solar system. Now we can think of the galaxy like we do a solar system. Celestial bodies within a galaxy share, use, and transform matter in the galaxy that are used to make new celestial bodies. Galaxies have the same relationship as well. They collide and transform matter in a system just like everything else. Your baby's first tooth could be made up of matter that was thrown across the universe from the result of a supernova, or it could be the other way around. All the matter in the universe is transformed and transported just like the matter in your cells. The universe is chaotic. The simplest form of life we consider is a single-celled organism, and we consider ourselves to be very advanced forms of life made with trillions of these cells. Could we think of ourselves as part of a larger
organism?
We communicate with others just like cells do, and we try to do what's best for us as a whole. Maybe we're the cells of our planet, or maybe our planet is part of something bigger. As far as we know, the universe follows the laws of physics and rules of mathematics. The nucleus of your cell holds your DNA, which dictate the laws and rules of how your body will run. What if instead of all these separate organisms, everything is part of something big? Maybe not a universe-sized organism, but some kind of system. If you align with the multiple universe theory, maybe the Big Bang was really the formation of a cell in the infinite tissue of the cosmos, and our universe is just one cell in that tissue. Maybe you have contemplated the theory that we live in a simulation.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere.
Without speculating on the reality behind the simulation, this would explain how everything seems to follow a code. Like I said before, mathematics, physics, and DNA. If we do exist in a simulation, our universe would be a digital organism, an application ran in reality. One thing everything in the universe seems to have in common is entropy, a gradual decline into disorder. Like a skin cell in your arm will one day die and break down to the most basic elements that form it and then be used by something else. If the universe experiences life and death, then how did its life begin? And what will happen when it dies? If you're interested in the subject of entropy, I suggest listening to Brian Greene's episode on the Joe Rogan podcast, or listening to his book Until the End of Time. His appearance on the podcast and listening to his book really sparked my interest in the subject. If you made it this far, thank you for watching my video. I've never done anything like this before, and it's nice to get my ideas written out in detail. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks.